Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday morning. We're starting off with this picture. I'm not kidding. It was 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. My husband comes and gets me and says, you have to come out and look at the moon. It's unbelievable. Watch this. That is wicked crazy. That is like beautiful, but crazy. So I know it looks like a filtered picture of the sun, but that was the moon, you guys. Like, I love living out in the country. All right, we have a lot to cover again, everybody. So let's just jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. I'm going to start off with this picture sent from one of my subscribers. She ordered one of my cups and she's having her cup of coffee in the morning while she's watching me. She loves the cup. Don't forget, I've got merchandise. Feel free to go shopping right below the video. All right. We're going to start off with Prince William, who went to visit a charity called Be a Better You. It's BEST. This provides a positive experience for young people. Now, according to the article, this charity was set up by a man in 2020 after his daughter became criminally exploited. And so he wanted young people with different social, mental health barriers and emotional needs to, have positive reinforcement. And he met this man's daughter during the visit to hear about what happened to her. Now, of course, while he was there, he met up with a very quick female amateur boxer. And of course, she offered to take him into the ring. And Prince William basically said, no, thank you. Oh, my goodness. And so he stands to the side and he watches this girl box. Apparently she was very good. Now, this girl who's now 18 years old and is a very promising boxer, as it turns out, described to Prince William how she was able to stay out of the gangs and how her life was heading down the road of drugs and crime and violence, and she was being exploited when she was 13. And so now this, charity trains with UK top boxers. This girl does anyway, in hopes of fighting in the Olympics one day. I think that's wonderful. They put out quite a spread of food. Love it. They also talked about the knife crime pandemic that was going on. We know about that poor young woman that was killed just trying to get to school, if I read the article correctly. Not a peep from Harry and Meghan about what happened, even though the young lady was of African descent. Moving on. Next up, we're going to King Charles, who apparently had everybody laughing when he went to visit an education center that was located in Scotland, in Aberdeenshire. It was the Global Underwater Hub. He met staff. He learned about their outreach programs for trade and industry, for the underwater sectors, of course, for the UK. And apparently he walked into the room in a kilt and made everybody laugh. I'm not sure why that would be so funny. Maybe it was the way he walked in. Who knows? He saw the operational screens for the vehicles. He got a demonstration of how the vehicles work. Then he had a go at controlling it himself. He met staff. He met students from a secondary school located near to the education center. It's called Mint Law Academy. And there were displays of the technology that they use, diving apparatus. Very nice. Very interesting. My children and my husband dive. So for me, it's interesting to see this kind of stuff. He then unveiled a plaque, commemorating his visit there. He gave a small speech and off he went. Love it. Now, for those wondering, this all ties into the Earth shot and, all of that, because what this group does is it captures 3D imaging underwater. It provides protection and enhanced biodiversity. You get it? And eco-friendly artificial reefs. And this is all, so it's all tied together. All right, moving on now to Queen Camilla. She went to the Braemar Literary Festival dinner at the Fife Arms, again in Aberdeenshire, on September 29th. Now, as you can see from the photos, Judi Dench was there, best-selling authors William Boyd was there, Grace Dent was there. Now, this is a 3-day festival which runs until Sunday, being held in Highland Village. And this is part of the Queen's Reading Room, which we know is the book club that she founded. Now, this was first started in 2021. It's a literary hub, and I think it's just a fabulous thing that she did. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for the information on what she was wearing. Now, earlier in the day, Queen Camilla went to a sold-out event that was moderated by her son, Tom Parkle Bowles. Pretty cool. That event was called The Allure of Comfort Food to Soothe and Satisfy. And Grace Dent and Rick Stein were talking with her son, Tom. I would have liked that. All right, moving on. All right, I love this story. Because of the amount of misinformation being put out, William and Catherine decide that they're going to start doing a monthly recap of everything they do on their Instagram account. You don't have to whine like Harry and Meghan do about the press. They're simply taking matters into their own hands. All right, let's move on to Catherine now. The whole world is like shaken up because Catherine has decided that she is going to stay home with the children instead of going with William to the Earthshot Prize. Okay, does she add a touch of glamour more than a touch of glamour? Yes, she does. Will the Earthshot Prize survive without her there? Yes, it will. Her reason for not going, however, is an extremely valid one. You have to know, okay? So what's going on here is Catherine has decided she's going to put her children first. She is not about self-promotion. She never has been. And unlike other people who go, I know what my most important title is, it's mommy. But yet she's consistently away from her extremely young children for weeks and weeks at a time when they have nannies who could have helped them out. I mean, let's face it, guys, you can't do this Center for Early Childhood Education program and then neglect your own children. You know, these kids are being raised and in a loving home with cousins and family around in a nurturing environment, and the future king needs this. I agree with this Twitter user. If Catherine went, it would be she stands by her man and leaves little Prince George at home to face grueling exams alone, and harebrained Kate Middleton puts duty first, travels with a... You know what's going to happen. Now, for those of you who are unaware, these exams, you take them when you're 10, and they decide which school you go into when you're 13. It's a 3-part step. And George is going to sit for 2 of these in the next month. It's called the ISEB test, which is multiple choice, and it focuses on English, math, and verbal and nonverbal reasoning. It's 2.5 hours, and it's sat for in November. And then Eton will request a report from the head teacher of the school. We know that they want him to go to Eton. After all, that's where William went. Harry went there also, but let's not forget Harry was accused of cheating. And for those of you who don't remember, Harry's former teacher claimed that she helped him cheat in his art class because he was an extremely weak student. They got rid of the teacher, and she turned around and sued and won money. There you go. Now, the articles are claiming that Harry's failings at Eton were well known, and that teachers who marked Harry's entrance exam had been, quote unquote, desperate to find things to give him marks for because his scores apparently weren't good. But after they let him in, then they announced, oh, he passed with flying colors. This is also the school where, according to Harry from his book, he made fun of some of his disabled teachers and did some pretty nasty things. Not shocked. Moving on. Let's go on now to Harry and Meghan. All kinds of articles are coming out. It's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Seriously, it just keeps going on and on. But they're supposed to be so good, right? They're supposed to be so exclusive, but there's all these parties going on and they're not invited to them. So I was like, wait, I have to go back and look and see if this is true. It is. Now, we know that George and Amal Clooney host the Albie Awards in New York every year, and they always have these big names, as you can see, Randy Gerber and Cindy Crawford, Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, Rachel Weisz and Daniel Craig. He always looks fabulous. Luciano Barroso and Matt Damon. You guys are getting the point. All big name actors and actresses and Harry and Meghan were not invited. After that, you had Victoria Beckham at Paris Fashion Week at one of her shows. Again, all A-listers, top people. No Harry and Meghan, they were not invited. And yes, to these kinds of things, you have to be invited. Vogue's Anna Wintour was there, sitting next to David Beckham and all the kids. Everybody was there. Then, of course, you had the Kardashian crew was there. Like, I guess my point is, if she was now in these circles with these same people, Pamela Anderson, if she was in the same circle with these people, she'd be going to the same things that these people go to. She would have been invited. She wasn't invited. She doesn't hang in the same circles with these people, no matter how much WME wants you to believe that she does. She doesn't. They're like on the outside of a brick party house and somebody's slapping on the, brick saying, let me in, let me in. Now, the next thing that came up was Steven Spielberg and Kate Capshaw on their $240 million yacht that apparently can sleep like, 30 people, and they all have bathrooms and en suites and all this stuff. But the point is, he was entertaining people on the yacht. Kris Jenner, again, and Corey Gamble were there in Portofino. They were in Portofino. That's where all the really super wealthy people go. They were there with Elon Musk and Grimes and, Harry and Meghan? Nope. And that leads right into this, which is another WME spin, okay? Kevin Costner put out a thank you on his Instagram account. And what he said was, and I'm quoting, "Happy weekend, guys. It'll be hard for me to beat the incredible time we had last weekend supporting the vital first responders of our area. They've seen us through some tremendously difficult times, and it felt great to be a part of helping our community come together, blah, blah, blah." And this is the picture that was there. So no, he didn't specifically thank Harry and Meghan. He did a general thank you, but WME is trying to spin it like he thanked them directly. Let's get real. We've all seen the video of what happened. Meghan walks out on the stage. The guy tries to hand the mic to Harry. Harry, waves over and says, no, give it to my wife, which he refused to do. The only reason that happened, and the guy laughs, and the only reason that happened was because I'm sure they were told ahead of time not to hand that mic over. Now, this is very interesting. Do you guys remember SmartWorks? Meghan Markle was their patron when she was a working royal. Since she has left the UK, she has not been back. She has done nothing for the charity except send some notes. That's it. I have yet to figure out why this charity hasn't gotten another patron, somebody who's actually involved, who goes there, who, helps them. And instead, she sends a note, "Congratulations on your 10 years, of doing great work," nothing of which she's had a hand in, I might add, absolutely nothing. So it's being reported that there was a 10-year celebration and that she was asked to come to the celebration, and she didn't. Yes, a blind item came out. She was repeatedly asked to show up as their patron to the charity, but in order to do that, she'd have to go to the UK, and she refuses, so she sent a note. Well, that's part of her work ethic, isn't it? An hour a week? All right, this next article, I would laugh. I really would, okay? Meghan, it's saying, is going to run for office, and she wants Dianne Feinstein's seat. We know that Dianne Feinstein was 90. She recently passed away after years of, working for the government. So it was announced on Friday, and immediately the article says the Duchess of Sussex wants to throw her hat in the ring. Well, here's a few problems. Number one, she's the Duchess of Sussex. You can't do that. Number two, the California governor has already said that, or it's already been reported that he has said that he will no longer take Meghan's phone calls. He took one phone call just to be polite, and he has refused to speak to her since then. Very interesting what the article says. because it's claiming that Governor Newsom pledged to replace Feinstein with a black woman, saying the problem he now faces, and I'm quoting, is that all the best candidates have already announced they will be running for her seat in November of 2024. So he can't put any of them in the position because it would be seen as unfair. So therefore, he needs to find a woman of color who can do the job for 13 months and will not stand against any of the seasoned politicians. And so Megan just is like, I'll do it. So what it comes down to is that Megan doesn't run for anything. She wants to be appointed to the seat without having to do anything. Do I think that Governor Newsom would actually do that? I got to be honest. No, I don't. I think the amount of backlash, you have a woman with no political experience. Maybe that's why she's running around telling people she's 43% Nigerian. Who knows? Who cares? She has no experience. All right, moving on. Let's talk about what happened with Patrick Adams, okay? So he comes out and he suddenly puts up all these behind-the-scene pictures as a trip down Suits memory lane. Does anybody here for 1 second think he would do that without Megan's permission? He remains a good friend of hers. Now, this is all going on during the whole, they took 7 planes in 14 days and all the crap that went on at Invictus. And she probably called him up, in my personal opinion, and said, we're looking for a distraction. Put these out and then, you know, the people will stop talking. We'll change the narrative. They'll stop talking about the fact that we've made these kids sign NDAs at the school and all of our diva demands and all of this kind of stuff. So he deletes all the pictures and puts up an apology claiming that he did it because of the strike. It was an oversight. I'm sorry. Who are you kidding? That had nothing to do with the strike. I completely agree with Resting Doll Face. He also changed his handle. Now, the Royal Road came out and said he heard through the grapevine that Megan's attorney threatened him if he didn't delete those pictures immediately. But Barjack, who's very reliable, came out and said it was a setup. Absolutely. And I believe it because these two were friends. He would never post those pictures without Megan's, approval. And other people like me agreed. It changed the conversation about the whole Harlem school gagging fiasco because suddenly it was like, look at these new unseen pictures. It was a total setup. Now, there is some conversation that he was trying to use Megan's royal connection because after all, he's trying to sell a game called Royal Match on, the video games you can download on your phone. Ugh. Moving on, I just want to touch on this real quickly. It's coming out. They're saying Harry and Meghan should not have been allowed to have titles for their children and that King Charles made a mistake in giving permission. The truth of the matter is it was a bad decision. First of all, Meghan and Harry don't deserve their titles, much less their kids. Number two, Charles has been talking about slimming down the monarchy for forever and a day. And number three, after all the hurt he's caused the monarchy, he should know that they're trying to undermine it. And they're trying to set up a rival royal court in the United States. And so when that happened, he should have cut them off immediately. And that should have been the end of it. I mean, at this point, he should give them what they want. They want out, let them out. Strip them of their Duke and Duchess titles. Strip the kids of their Prince and Princess titles. Tell Harry he cannot use the word prince. He is now Harry Windsor, a private citizen, and go and have a life. Goodbye. Give him what he wants. They want out, let them out. All right, here's the last thing we're going to cover. We all heard they went to Portugal, they went to Lisbon for several days without the children. And somebody there saw them and even gave the plane number that they were on when they left and not when they arrived. I still think it was a private thing. But the thing is, supposedly it was a romantic getaway and they're such a loved up couple. But I have an issue with that. But as CB on Twitter pointed out, there's not one picture. And these two are having trouble getting along. Why would they want to spend 3 days with each other? The above picture was taken at one event. They obviously weren't getting along. We've seen this video, but I've slowed it down. Watch this. Watch Meghan. She's trying to get Harry's attention, and Harry is having none of it. She's being completely ignored. Now, she tries to talk to Harry. Look at her. She tries to talk to Harry. And Harry is having none of it. Look at her. Don't tell me these two are happy and in love, because it's pretty obvious that is not true. She's touching him. She's like, look at me, Harry. Look at me, Harry. Harry is completely ignoring her. So there is a question if they actually went off to be loved up somewhere, because they appear not to get along at all. Okay, let's finish up now with your comments. First of all, one subscriber said Boozy needs help. We already know that. And the other one said that Boozy in the Wizard of Oz monkey suit was hilarious. I completely agree. Now, one of my subscribers said there's no point in praying for him. It's a waste of prayers. I disagree. Everybody can use prayers. Now, multiple people pointed out that he's really obsessed with me and it's almost stalking-like, and why don't I block him? I did block him, but he's got multiple accounts, and so he just uses one of his other accounts to look at my Twitter feed. I do live rent-free in his head. But guys, Boozy's good for business. Every time he attacks, my numbers go up. All right, guys, you know what to do. And if you've donated to my coffee funder through the thanks button, thank you so much.